The demographic of this country is changing, and I think when you look at the racial makeup of America, that the numbers are changing for the minorities in America. And as these numbers grow, these people want to become more involved in America and being a part of the American process. And one big part of that, the biggest part of that, is voting. Right, your vote is the number one way to make yourself be heard in D.C. and in the Senate and all these places. So you have people that are like, okay, well, I'm paying my taxes, I'm working, I'm raising children, but everybody that's making the decisions that affect my life don't look like me, don't come from my struggle, don't represent my struggle, have no frame of reference for my culture. And so it's like now people are like, well, if there's a candidate that I feel better reflects that, that's who I'm going to go for. And now people who come from those communities are like, you know what, I'm tired of the same old guy running in my district that doesn't do anything in my district. I'm going to run in my district because I know what my district needs because I live in this district. And so now you have people who normally would never have tried to run for public office, running for public office because they see that there's a potential for a change in the election process. I think the Tea Party was a good barometer test for it, something like a Donald Trump becoming president, because all the Tea Party candidates were atypical, right? They were not what people normally expect to see in a candidate. And I think the closer that the people that want to represent us start to look more and more like us, the better chance that we have of changing the racial makeup of what our Senate, our House of Representatives, and potentially our White House will look like. It's a step-by-step process, right? So it takes a little while to get there, but it's happening now. Like we started, like I said, probably 8 to 12 years ago, and now we're there. We're in a place now where we see people who look like us, sound like us, talk like us, dress like us, which I think is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Seeing how people spend their spare time, how much they love their God, how much they love their family, how much they love their community and their district, and they're willing to stand up and take a chance. And it's very empowering because when one person does it, it inspires a dozen more people to do it. And when those dozen do it, they each inspire another dozen. So it's been growing, exponentially if you look at the process. Now it's still somewhat behind because some people are afraid to disrupt the status quo, even if they feel like another person may actually have a better viewpoint on some of these topics and issues that we're addressing. They still like, yeah, but I'm just comfortable with this guy. He looks like a senator. He looks like, that used to be the big thing. People used to be like, well, he really looks like a president.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what does a president have to look like now? We see
Yeah.
that now with the current president that we have, that you don't have to fit the typical mold in order to get the people's attention. In fact, you probably get more attention if you're breaking the mold. You know what I'm saying? So it's just about people paying more attention to candidates being more reflective of the communities that they represent, and just a different level of awareness. I think with social media now, we get a lot more information on these people than we normally would get. So even if you don't watch CNN, even if you don't subscribe to a newspaper, you're still going to be privy to the conversations that are happening one way or another. So I think we're going in the right direction. I think we're getting closer and closer to an American government that truly represents America. It just seems like we're very far away from it because of who our president is right now. But I think we're closer than we've ever been, and I don't think we should give up on the process, the electoral process. I think we should continue to support candidates that we truly believe in. I think we should fight to get the word out about those candidates and really help and get the other people in our respective communities engaged. That's really what it's about.
But you sound like a candidate or a political. Have you ever thought about running for office?
I've thought about it, but I didn't think about it too long. It's a very different world. And while I was covering politics with Vice magazine, I got very disenfranchised with the party system because I saw a lot of pandering on both sides. You know what I'm saying? People going out of their way to try to court their respective bases. You know what I'm saying? But none of it really felt genuine. The only person that I felt like was actually being very honest about who they were and what they represented fully was Trump. So I told people very early, like, this is the person that's making the connection with these people out here. He was getting the biggest venues. He was having the most people because he was willing to say what those people wanted to hear, right? But he actually believed in a lot of it. Sometimes in politics, we have politicians that go through rigmarole and they all have these very canned responses to the questions that people ask them, and they're very afraid to disrupt the system. And because they're afraid to disrupt the system, they tend to look just like everything else that's come through the system. And people get, discouraged about it, and they just, they're disenfranchised about the whole process. So someone comes up who's different, whether it's a good or a bad thing, but it's different, right? And it appeals to people on a different level than a politician typically does. A politician tends to stick to talking points. What is on the paper? This is what we're talking about: A, B, C, and D. And then someone comes in, and it's like W, K, Y, X, and B. It's like, wait a minute, this guy's all over the place, but he's got some good points about it. And I think it would be good to see somebody that's not a part of this Washington system get a shot at it, because it's really like one of us getting a shot at it, because we don't really know much about government, but we know what we want for our families and what we don't want. And this guy's touching on that. So I don't know if he's going to be as good a politician as those before him, but I know he's going to address these things that I care about. Mm-hmm. So we just need a viable candidate from the other side that represents and looks the same way. Somebody that's, not the typical Democrat. He shouldn't look like Chuck Schumer. It shouldn't feel like Nancy Pelosi. You know what I'm saying? It should have a different feeling, a different energy, a different urgency about what it is they're trying to do, and a certain level of passion. I think that's what's missing. You know what I'm saying? From the electoral candidates is a certain level of passion. I think Beto is one of the people that has that new level of passion, that isn't afraid to go and talk to people in their area where they are, and discuss their problems and show them that he cares and that he's going to really try his best to affect change, not just give people this, same people in Houston the same answers as he gave the people in Austin, the same answers he gave the people in Dallas, and the same people he gave answers to in San Antonio. He's addressing the specific needs of Dallas, the specific needs of Austin, the specific needs of Houston, so forth and so on. And so I think that's why a lot of people are actually excited about Beto O'Rourke running for Senate. And the further he goes out into the state and the more he talks to people, the smaller the margin gets between him and Ted Cruz. And now I think there's only a 5 or 6 point differential between both of them, with a give or take of 3 points. So he's actually way closer than anyone would have ever given him credit for. But now what we need is for people to not just come out and listen and clap and applaud and thank him and be like, you're different. We need people to register and people to vote. Because that's the one thing I would say. When I went to a Hillary Clinton rally, I would see people that were there that were interested, but I couldn't say that everybody in that room was going to vote. When I go to a Bernie Sanders rally, I would see people in there, they were engaged or whatever, but it was a lot of young people, and I couldn't say that everybody in that room was going to vote. But when I went to a Trump rally, I was absolutely certain that everyone in that room, after leaving that room, was going to go and vote for that candidate.
Yeah.
And so we need someone that has a way of engaging people and exciting people and lighting a fire under people's feet. Beto's one of those people.
What's interesting is, one, I think you are poised to run for politics, because you did not answer the question of whether or not you are going to run for politics or not.
I thought about it, but
you gave the best political answer to be a non-politician, though. But
I mean, it's something we thought about, but I don't think that's my place today. Now, tomorrow may be a different thing. You know what I'm saying? But
it's so interesting, man. You are talking and describing a candidate that is you. So I'm not going to put any pressure on you.
Yeah,
so
please
I'm going to leave it at that.
I still have a day job.
Yeah,
so.
But I do want to say that you are describing a candidate as you, and that's also why I knew you were so perfect for this show, because this is what we talk about so often here on this show, is that the electorate wants something different, and the electorate doesn't just want this typical cookie cutter. The electorate wants nuance. They want their candidates to feel like a human being, so it's more relatable and more personable. Absolutely. And it's okay to be flawed. It's okay to make mistakes on air. Heck, I've said some things improper, even in our context here. You don't always have to use proper sentence and proper grammar. Right. But I think that goes to a lot of the data collection and really getting good data that has a better understanding of our electorate and has a better understanding of our demographic. And what's interesting, Bun, is that is what this episode is going to do a deep dive into, is data, and how data collection properly will help make hopefully the two-party structure system or other parties see exactly what you're talking about and how to run better candidates and have better success for that. So, Bun B, I cannot thank you so much for your time and coming on the Mike Muse show.
Amazing conversation.
Yeah. How can people reach you further online?
Well, they can find me on social media at on Instagram at The Real Trillionaires, at on Twitter at Bun B Trilogy, and on Facebook I have a Bernard Freeman page, which is my personal page. And then I have the Bun B fan page, which we also use to interact with the most people. It gives us the ability to touch the most people at at the same time.
That's awesome. And don't forget, check out his latest project that drops this Friday,
Yes.
August 31st.
Return of the
Stay with
Jedi.
us, ladies and gentlemen. We have Alicia Garza from Black Lives Matter coming up to really talk about data and data collection for better outcomes of our election cycle. Stay tuned here on Sirius XM Insight Channel.
Already.
We out.